Hey everybody, this is Abby from Realistic Kitchen and Gardens. Happy Thanksgiving. It is Thanksgiving Day. It is 35 degrees outside and currently snowing. You can see my raspberries are finally thinning themselves out and going to bed. They'll go dormant in these great big canes. I'm going to trim them to keep them inside. Oh, that popped open. Keep them inside this hoop structure, but it's good to see them finally thin out. They've been ridiculously all over the place this fall season. The spring they were in normal shape, but not the fall. Hey turkeys! Turkeys are still growing. They're midget whites. We'll be potentially harvesting them probably the second week of December, or if we run out of meat bird feed, because I had originally agreed to get them because I had a bunch more meat bird feed after we finished feeding out our 34 meat chickens at the end of, what was that, September? Something like that. It's also very casually snowing. The ground is still warm enough. It's not sticking, but it is indeed snowing. Let me take a swing over to the blueberries. They are dormant. You can tell they're dormant because the stems are still red. This is a dead branch, so you can tell the difference of the alive versus not. Here's the second one. Some kind of buggy thing putting a nest in there. And here's the third one on this side. This top piece of branch is dead, but the bottom is still okay. There's Patriot. I've forgotten the names of them. This must be some kind of insect putting a nest in here. Here's the middle one. I forget the varieties now. I definitely remember Patriot. Patriot. This one's probably the biggest of them. I can't think of their names now. I think it's probably been 3 weeks now between garden tours. Ooh, my hands are cold. We're gonna make this tour fast. So it's been a couple weeks. I mean, things are so slowed down because of the short days, and it's cold too. So the garlic's doing good. We'll take a peek at that as we go by. Row A is still vacant, which was where the tomatoes were. You can see some of the skins on the ground from Bartelli cherry tomato. I don't know why I'm even looking at A. Let me go back and we'll look at B with the cover crop. At least we'll make the trip worth it. Cover crop. Ooh, look at the size of this guy. This is a daikon radish groundhog. I think the variety name kind of is groundhog. This is a cover crop that is a mix of field peas, daikon radish, and it's supposed to be hairy vetch, but I don't think my hairy vetch germinated. But this is to both loosen up the soil and add some nutrients and some organic matter. Once it dies off, it'll get winter killed. Here is the name's coming to me very slowly. Hang on, it's coming. Blue ribbon broccoli. Here we go. I even thought of this at the time when I cut it, but I thought maybe I should like cover that with wax or something to try to protect it. It's still fairly firm, but there's a few offshoots coming out, as broccoli will do. Broccoli and other brassicas. God, that almost looks like bug poop. Very cold resilient. There's the second one. This one never really had a chance. This was one of the worst ones with this, whatever it is. I still haven't looked into it. One of those things I was going to do in the cold, dark months of nothing. Like, these things have gotten cold damage. They're soft and floppy. They're not nearly as firm as like when they're, I'm gonna say fresh. I I think it's gotten down into maybe the low 20s, but not much more than that. But the broccoli's still doing okay, the side shoots anyway. I mean, I could probably harvest them now and let these plants go to bed, but these plants were not quite as vigorous this year as the broccoli. Ooh, that's a nice head. Not quite as vigorous this year as I remember it being, and I don't know if that's a ground issue or a moisture issue, temperature issue, pick a thing. Excuse me. Here's where the okra was. This is a stump from the first okra. All right, it's working on dying off, or the ground is nice and soft from all the rain we've had. I mean, it's all dead, period. All this warm weather stuff is dead. Bonfire salvia with its hollow little flower things now. Long dead. The okra obviously has been culled. I culled the peppers. Like, this is more just covering the ground, so I didn't have to worry about a cover crop at the time, because you'll see at the end here. Ooh, a dandelion. What are you doing, dandelion? Stick that on the path. On the path. Here's the last okra. It's amazing how woody these are, to me anyway. And then here's the edge of the cover crop that I put in. It's either the same mix as this or a green manure, and I really can't remember. Based on the fact that there's rye in it, this grass, I'm gonna say it's a green manure, like at the very beginning of, well, the last row in the garden, J, up there. Because there's brassicas. You can see the brassicas that are getting nibbled on. There's the ryegrasses that'll be cool resistant. I didn't get this in early enough. I mean, it's starting to take a little bit of root in most places, but it's too cold for them to do really. It's doing better than I expected, I'll give you that. Here's all the garlic. I think this is all the hardneck on this side. Yeah. All right, here you. Oh no, that's a soft neck. Interesting. These are soft necks on this side. Ischelium red, or whatever the name is. I never get it right. Oh, that looks like twins. That's not good. I don't like to have twins. It messes with the development of the bulb in the spring. Silver white. There's another, Lors. And there's another one. I think this one is definitely covered up somewhere. I can't remember the variety name. And then here's Ivan, which is a hardneck. Looks like the hardneck hasn't come up at all, which is fine. I should have put gloves on. Good Lord, it's cold. Oh no, I'm wrong. There's a little bit of garlic. Or it's grass. That might be grass. Or hay, I should say. Straw. Straw? No, that's definitely garlic. It's in my rows, the rows I put in. That could be either garlic or grass growing fresh, but I'm not gonna dig around. There's Adonai, my tried and true Adonai that I've been regrowing every year for the last 2 or 3 years. Matichi, or Matechi, however it's pronounced. That's definitely grass right there. That might be coming up through a hole where the garlic is planted, because there's the patch, there's this fabric underneath that has the holes for the garlic to come through. That's definitely a little thing of garlic there. And then here's this last section is kind of leftover cloves from the soft neck as a mix. So this is coming up a little bit. You can see one there. This was the flower patch. That's all very dried out and dead. Naked spot, lavender. I didn't prune this at all. I know you're supposed to prune lavender, but I don't know how, and I didn't get around to it, so we're gonna see what lives. This middle one is Hidcote, Provence, and Munstead. I wanted to say Homestead. Munstead. So we'll see who survives best. And then this section is where the squash was that I never ended up tilling out. I decided to put spent chicken bedding on it, just raw manure and shavings, and see if it'll mulch out. Because I know this row is going to be onions, garlic obviously. I can't remember what's going to go in here, but hopefully something late so the manure can keep composting. This section where the parsnips were is fallow. I never got a cover crop in, and I really need. So you can see on this side, there's the path, there's the carrots, and then there's the path. This side got really like spread out, and I think it was because of how I did that path with the cardboard. So this got shifted a lot. Or it's because I put this a lot narrower because it was squash. That might have been it. I'm gonna have to look at it at some point when it's not quite so cold and windy. Carrots in the ground. Yep, they'll live just fine in the ground. You don't have to pull them out to put them in a root cellar. They'll live just fine. That felt weird under my foot. Last year I had a small patch. Ooh, Nelly, the ground is cold. I had a small patch of carrots where the strawberries were, and you can go back and look at them. And I left half of them in the ground, like this stage, or almost ready to harvest. I left them in the ground over winter, straight up as is, no covering or anything. And I harvested them in the spring, and they were perfect. So you really don't need to bring them into a root cellar if you don't have the storage. At least that's true for here in southern Ohio. If you're in Alaska, I don't know what to tell you. That I'm pretty sure is a shallot from not last year, or not this spring, the previous fall, where I tried to overwinter shallots and red onions and yellow onions. Woohoo, cold wind. And I think that ended up surviving this season, even through whatever else was in here. Oh, the wind. Oh, cold. Sorry, I'm gonna be bitching about the cold quite a bit. You're gonna have to live. But that survived all this time. Then there's this cold hardy beauty who is doing so good. This is burgundy sprouting broccoli from Gurney's. It's a 90-day harvest. We're probably there, actually. I mean, these heads, they're not technically heads. There's that one central head, and then there's a bunch of sprouts right around it that make it look like a big head. But these are so cold hardy, as you can see. This is ready to harvest. Look at this. Hell yeah. God, I love this variety. I need to harvest that. And then these couple, these haven't gotten hit as bad as like the Brussels and the broccoli with that weird hollow stem thing. So these are doing better. Sorry, that was quite a jarring motion. But there are a couple. This one is definitely hit with it. Yeah, that might be a sprout off a main stem. And then there's this one. That one's struggling, but this one's doing well. And I think there's either another one off the main stem or it's leaning a lot. Nope, that's a side shoot off the main stem. So this is all one plant. Then my spinach, which I haven't been harvesting as heavily because again, the days are so short and cold that I don't want to run them down too hard. Purple moon, kale. I wanted to say broccoli, but that's not what that is. I haven't harvested this. It's a gorgeous plant, and I almost treat it like ornamental, which is foolish because it's definitely edible, but I feel like it's just going to be very tough. But it's surviving well in the cold. And this is winter Landsea. No, it is winter boar. I did get a different variety. Winter Landsea I did last year, and it did horribly. So this feels about as hardy as Purple Moon, so that's good. Promise storage cabbage. Ooh, that feels nice and firm. Good. Even with snow on it, it's fine. I love it. It's pretty firm. This is gonna be a tough cabbage. Not super tender like Tiara. Tiara's a quick variety though. And then here's the little slapdash bit of cover crop I put in. Shoot, this was put in back in August when I transplanted all these brassicas out. That's when I seeded this. Oh, give my fingers a minute to warm up. And then here's Brussels sprouts Sylvia. I have not been tending to these whatsoever, so I'm not surprised they're not ready yet. I also haven't pruned them at all, and Sylvia is lodging really badly. It's falling over. I know some people swear by cutting the leaves, topping them. Like, these things aren't even probably two feet tall. So, might have another failed Brussels sprout year, which, what else is new at this point? I should have put gloves on. I am not smart. I'm like, oh, it's not that cold. I'll be fine. Excuse me, Boscaro storage cabbage, seeded and planted at the same time as everything else. And we're here. We're not doing anything, but we're here. I wonder if this will be a good harvest for the spring, assuming it makes it that long. That was actually the theory with Tundra. Yep, this is my Tiara cabbage. Definitely cabbage. Didn't I tell y'all I thought this is broccoli? Nice looking broccoli, but it's smaller than it could be because I planted it so much closer, because at the time I thought it was cabbage. Here's the other Tiara cabbage. What are you being eaten by? How can you be eaten by anything? This is too close to this broccoli, so it's not growing well. The one Tiara I did harvest was right here. And then Tundra cabbage is obviously not, excuse me, heading yet. But they're on. Ooh, yeah, that's nice and firm. So the broccoli is a good example of how floppy some of the cabbage. Tiara is a good example. Like, this is like, it's kind of like the texture of like a thick paper towel that's wet and like floppy. It still isn't super easily torn, but it's floppy. It doesn't have a lot of good stiffness to it. Where this cabbage is super stiff. This is tender cabbage Savoy, which is the texture. You'll see a lot of kale like that too. This is supposed to make it a lot more cold hardy. And here we are, cold hardy, uncaring about the weather, unlike my fingers. And then almost last up is Red Bull Brussels from my gardener. And they're doing just as well as Sylvia, unsurprisingly, with these three being decimated by this hollow core thing. So this is gonna be, as the kids say, gonna be an L. God, how old do you think I am saying that? I'm 31. Don't answer that. Fail for Brussels sprouts this year for whatever reason. And then this is the two patches for the rhubarb that I got transplanted in the fall, which is not the time to transplant it. A fallow section where the peanuts were, and there's a little piece of peanut right there. The section where all the pole beans were, I've taken the stakes out. The husks of the sunflowers are still there, as is the netting, because it's very tangled and I ain't playing with that. And then here's the section where I have the strawberries all bedded down and covered with a lot of random material. Oh, this is a little bit of alyssum. I saw the green poking out around the material. This is mostly, I think, plants from the peanuts and a bit of straw. I did do some straw underneath, chopped straw, and then I did the husks of the peanuts, mostly to keep the straw from blowing away and random bits of crap that are staying there. Sweet Alyssum is apparently very cold hardy and does not care it's that cold. There is quite a bit of cold damage on it, but it's a nice ground cover. I wish it was more interesting than just white and like a pale purple. And then here is the green manure mix, mature. This was seeded, I have no idea when I seeded this. The hairy vetch doesn't like the cold. Ryegrasses, red clover, I cannot feel my fingers, hairy vetch, and field peas. There's two types of, there's two types of rye in here. There's a spring rye and a winter rye. One of them will get winter killed, the other will come back in the spring. And that's more to prevent erosion over winter, which is one of the main benefits of cover crops, is preventing erosion in the winter. If the ground is bare, it's more apt to get nutrients washed out, where if you have a cover crop, it'll keep erosion from happening. And like things like peas will do a beneficial relationship with microorganisms in the soil over winter too. And then the green manure, I'll chop this really short, and then I'll run it over with a heavy piece of machinery that is made to just run things over. So it'll kill off the roots of all this stuff, so I don't have to dig it out. And then this half a row is actually going to be all flowers next year. So we'll see how this cover crop works for something like flowers. And then that's, oh well, the row of, it mostly looks like radishes, but in B, I'm trying to remember, I think A is going to be mostly the squashes, cucurbits, mostly cucurbits. I can't remember what B is going to be, but that'll be another good test for what cover crops will, that'll be a good example of how cover crops will affect my garden rows. But anyway, it's really cold. I'm going to go in and have a cup of hot cocoa and warm up my hands. If you like this kind of stuff, please like, comment, and subscribe for more, and I will post another video for Christmas. Because, again, there's nothing really going on this time of year, except apparently my sprouting broccoli. But anyway, please like, comment, and subscribe for more. Thanks. Bye.